If I wanted to make $10,000 per month as a new real estate investor, you cannot let your fear take control. If I always thought that I would wait for the bottom, or when interest rates reduce, or keep questioning what would happen if I couldn't find tenants, or what happens if something bad happens and they destroy my house and I have to pay this big bill, I'm gonna go bankrupt. If I let that fear take over, then I would never be in a position today to have a $7 million portfolio. Now, I don't need you sitting there thinking that you have to copy every single detail and every single number and find deals exactly like this. What I want you to do is just understand, why did this approach work? What were the principles behind these deals? What made them work in the first place? If you can understand that, then you'll be able to apply them to your own personal situation and truly be on a path to building real generational wealth. And the best part is, I think it's a lot easier than you think. I'm gonna break this video down into 3 key areas: prerequisites, investing strategies, and mindset. So what do you need to do before you can even invest? Number 1 is you need a really good credit score. Credit score is so important because without a good credit score, you're not gonna be able to get the loan that you want. And that means, the loan that you get will have a much higher premium or a higher interest rate, and that's just gonna kill your profitability. I learned how important it was to monitor my credit score and make sure that I was on the right path and building that credit. So how do you build your credit? Well, what I used to do is have one credit card that I used for all my main purchases and my everyday purchase. But the problem with that I learned was that it was very difficult for me to actually pay that credit card off on a monthly basis because I was putting everything on it. So I learned to have multiple credit cards. Number 1, for big ticket items, one that I've kind of rarely used. And number 2 was a credit card that I used for my everyday purchases, like groceries. The beauty with this strategy is that I was able to pay off that smaller credit card every single day or every single month because they were just, little purchases. And from the credit bureau perspective, I looked like a very mature, credit manager because I was paying off my credit cards every single month, and I had this bigger credit card that I was really barely using. And that's the fastest way that I was able to build my credit. And that's by having multiple credit cards, being very responsible with them, and paying them off as fast as possible. The second thing you're gonna need when you start in the real estate game is to have 2 years work history. And that shouldn't be too difficult, especially if you're thinking about real estate. You probably have a solid source of income, or you're on the path to building that solid source of income. And just know that you're gonna need around 2 years of work history for any bank to consider you for a loan. And the third thing is your down deposit. This can be the most trickiest and obviously the most scariest for most people. But I assure you that you need to find a way to get that first down deposit. There is money to be made, even in this market. I bought my first house at 26 years old, but I didn't start at 26. It took me years to figure out how to budget, how to use that money, how to invest that money, the extra savings, how to accelerate my path, find different shortcuts to get to that end goal of having that first down deposit. Now, when I had my first down deposit, there's 3 key investing strategies that I executed on. The first strategy that I worked on was the Burr Model. This is when you buy a place, you renovate it, you rent it, you refinance, and then repeat. Let's talk about a real life example. So one of the places that I bought was around $350,000 with 3 bedrooms, a washroom and a kitchen, and a large unfinished basement and a really big family room. Now the place was actually pretty nicely renovated. It was move-in ready, so there wasn't much cosmetic updates to do, but the magic was being able to turn this place into a duplex. I was working with a general contractor to actually turn the basement into a separate unit, a legal unit. And that changed the configuration to a single family home to a legal duplex. And my rent went from $1,800 to over $3,700 per month. And when you refinance a place, when people look at the actual value of a house and an investment property, they want to see how much rent is coming in. That's how they value the property. So the fact that I went from $1,800 to over $3,700 in rent, the value of the house was way more. So when I got the house appraised, Now, my $350,000 house that I bought was now worth $650,000 because of that increase in rental potential and the value of that land. And that is why this strategy is so critical and something that you have to learn and understand if you're investing in real estate. The second strategy that I implemented was student rentals. And the student rentals are a beautiful investing strategy if you know what you're doing. The key to student rentals and why they're so attractive is because you can rent each individual room out. So for example, let's just say you have about a normal 5-bedroom house that's situated near a university or college, and you're gonna rent that out to a single family. Well, typically speaking, you could probably get around $2,200 to $2,500 if you rent out the whole house. But if you rent to students and you furnish the place properly, you keep it well maintained, you can easily get over $600 per room. The houses that I own right now, the minimum is $700 per room. So I'm talking over $3,000 per rent for that same house. And the other piece is, it's really easy to understand the logic behind student rentals. Look, there's no secret for real estate in general. If you want to invest, location is critical because you're banking on the appreciation, right? You're trying to buy a place, you want to hold it for as long as possible. You know, hopefully you invested in a good area and the value of that house has skyrocketed 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% per year. With student rentals, you don't have to do much thinking. You just have to find a place that's near a pretty reputable university or college. And the beauty is the demand for those areas are very high because people know, the investors, they know that there's a constant demand for rent in these areas because of the students. So the price of the house stays pretty consistent and they're able to appreciate because in general, rents are going up every year. And like I said before, the value of a house, an investment property, is dependent on the rental potential. So student rentals in general are gonna keep on the appreciation and you really don't have to do much thinking on where to invest. You don't have to choose that perfect location. The third strategy that I love is pre-construction condos. The beauty about pre-construction condos is that you don't need the full down deposit up front. You don't need that full 20%. Generally speaking, they give you a lot of time and they break down that 20% into smaller 5% chunks. So you'll owe 5% upon signing, but then you won't owe that next 5% until 180 days or 6 months down the road. So you're able to spend a lot more time saving and keeping your down deposit to earn more potential interest income, or you get to save up for that down deposit as you go. And also a great benefit of pre-construction condos is if you do it right, the appreciation can be enormous. I look for condos that are being built in areas where you can find some new infrastructure upgrades, new transportation upgrades, population growth, right? If you find a place that's developing and growing, where you can find some news about, active investment, those pre-construction condos are potentially a great idea because you're locking in today's price and waiting 5, 6 years for the condo to be built. And you don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to worry about your mortgage. You don't have to worry about tenants. You're riding the 5, 6 years, you're waiting it out. And if you do the research and you do it properly, you will see a major appreciation on that land value when the project is completed. Now let's talk about mindset. With real estate, it's pretty straightforward, right? The principles are buying a place, renting it out, and generating a profit. So the business model really isn't that complicated. We do know it's one of the best vehicles out there to build real generational wealth. But you have to be continuously learning. You have to see the opportunities in front of you. And there's a few books that I learned from, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Art of Real Estate Rental Investing. These books really put me in the right mindset. Look, there's gonna be a lot of noise. There's gonna be a lot of reasons why you shouldn't invest. There's a lot of fear out there with skyrocket pricing, or there's a lot of fear out there with house values soaring, with high interest rates, with all the crazy stuff going on in the economy. If you aren't really ready to buy that place, you'll find a million reasons not to. The best part about real estate is that the deals are there. The numbers can work out. You just have to go find them. The other piece is you have to be good at networking. There's a core team that you have to put in place. Your real estate agents, your general contractors, lawyers, mortgage brokers, and your accountants. Go out there, find the right people. These people will help you protect your investment, accelerate your profits, and also give you tax saving strategies that are gonna be very useful for you when you're trying to scale your business. If networking is one of your major problems and you wanna learn how to network and find the right team, click this video here.